All right, guys, so welcome to the newest episode of Sugar Me Saturday. So, yeah, excuse the hair, it's all tied down. But this week we were discussing pregnancy, birth control, and periods. So, this is just for the ladies. I do apologize, gentlemen, but I can't tell any of this from the male's point of view. I can only do it from the female point of view. So, the first one I wanted to discuss was periods. So, I've noticed a change in my periods once I got diagnosed with type 1. Now, I know everyone talks about the rises and lows of their glucose levels, but for me, I always seem to go really, really low. Like, I want to say the week or the couple of days before my cycle begins. And it's really frustrating because sometimes I'll have an extreme hypo and I'll be like, what the hell just happened? Why did it go so low? And then I'll go to the bathroom and she's here and I'm like, oh, I guess I should have kept better track of it. So I've started keeping better track of my cycle and when it's expected. So that way I can keep better tabs on, when my levels may go lower than they should. So that way I'm better prepared and I don't have to encounter those. So that's just one of the things I deal with as a type 1. The second thing is, I guess, pregnancy. So you guys know I've encountered quite a few miscarriages, especially this was about 3-4 years after being diagnosed as a type 1. And one of the things, obviously, when I was diagnosed, I was told I may never be able to get pregnant because I was diagnosed so late. One of the consequences of that would be sterility. So I never really concerned myself with the possibility of getting pregnant because of what the doctors told me. It wasn't until I encountered my first pregnancy that I realized, oh my God, I can get pregnant. But then couldn't carry. I think my first pregnancy, at about 6 weeks, had the miscarriage. So then I started doing some research about, what to do, things like that. I remember it was like if you make it past like the first 11 weeks or something like that, or even 12 weeks, the chances of you being able to carry to term would significantly improve. So I started trying my best to keep myself, my A1Cs, I started trying to bring them lower and lower and stuff like that. And then I think the furthest I ever got was like 10 and a half weeks. And my body just said, we're not doing this. Like, I'm sorry, this is not going to happen. And I think at that time I was in the hospital. My OB-GYN came and she was telling me, because she saw, when I was diagnosed, my A1Cs were at 28 and I had gotten them down to like 15, which was still high, but considering they were almost at 30, that was a huge, huge improvement. So she made the suggestion about getting on an insulin pump so that way I could have better control of getting my glucose levels where I needed them to be. And while I was in the hospital dealing with the consequences of the last pregnancy, that was when I was finally put on an Omnipod insulin pump. And ever since then, it's been pretty good. However, haven't really had any pregnancies whatsoever. And the reason why now is because the last topic, we have birth control. So, interesting fact, it's like 4 or 5 miscarriages, but 2 of those miscarriages actually happened while I was on birth control. So I was on the pill, and I don't know if any other type 1 has had to deal with this, but she started me off with my regular dosage. And unfortunately, the hormone in the birth control pill was having problems with my type 1 diabetes. My glucose levels were just shooting up for no reason. I mean, I was still eating the same way, doing the same thing. The only new thing that was introduced to my body was the birth control pill. And so we worked on getting myself to a dose, and it was such a low dose that my doctors figured because the dose was so low, that was what caused the 2 pregnancies, because the dosage was so small, it really didn't do anything to, stop or trick the body into thinking that it was pregnant. So that way the birth control pill actually worked. So now it's been the issue of trying to figure out what's going to be the best birth control pill for me. And as of, I want to say December, January, somewhere around then. We finally got me on an IUD. It is the non-hormonal IUD because we said the hormones in the birth controls was causing issues with my type 1. So we wanted to get me something that wouldn't cause any issues or any problems. So right now for me, the non-hormonal IUD is working great. Granted, I've only been on it for a couple of months, so I can't really say years of being on this. Yes, this is amazing. But for the time being, it has actually been great. My glucose levels have still been on point. Other than, when my period gets here and they just bottom out anyway. But I've actually improved that since I've started keeping closer track on like my cycle, when it ends, when it begins, and all of that stuff. So I've actually improved the hypos when my period starts to get here. But the IUD has done a great job. I'm not having the extreme highs. I'm not having the lows or anything that I encountered when I was on the birth control pills. So it's been a couple of year processing this, trying to get this under control. And as of now, I am, fingers crossed, hoping that this is all under control. But even if it's not, type 1 is trial and error. So for right now, that's a win for me. Type 1 may not be happy with that, but that's okay. We don't care. She's just going to have to deal with it because right now I'm winning in this. And I want to say for everyone out there, make sure when you do the trial and errors and the testing and things like that, be vocal with your doctor. Tell your doctor what is happening, what isn't happening, and anything that you think might help you gain better control of your body. Because what I went through, that's just my point of view, what I went through for me. I can't say anyone else is going to go through the exact same thing, but if you are going through something, especially when you're dealing with the periods, birth control, and pregnancies, be sure to let your doctor know what you're going through, because the only way for your doctor to give you the best assessments and help you out to the best of your abilities is if you're 100% open and honest. I'm lucky I've still had the same doctor since I was 18, so she's been there every step of the way. She's pretty much seen me since I've been diagnosed with type 1, so she's not surprised about any things that I'm going through, and she's been there every step of the way. So I'm very lucky with that. And I'm also very lucky because she listens. And I guess I'm so vocal and outspoken. She had no choice but to learn how to listen. But she does listen, and she takes anything that I say or anything that I'm going through into serious consideration. So just work with your doctors. Talk to them. I know sometimes we got the shitty doctors and we can't excuse that. But there are times your doctors are just reacting based on what they're told to react off of, and they don't know from you what actually happens and what they should be reacting off of. So that's just my little tidbit about the periods, the pregnancies, and birth control. So if you guys have anything to add to it, be sure to do it. And this is on YouTube, so just comment right down there. Instagram, same thing, comment down there, and even on Facebook. So hopefully this was helpful for those of you. If not, let us know how we can be helpful. All right, bye guys.